In the spring of 1856, the kingdom of Oudh was taken from its king without a single shot being fired. No battle, no siege, no last stand. A company of foreign soldiers simply walked into the city of Lucknow, and the thing was done. And the two men who would in the end turn out to be the only people in all of Lucknow willing to draw the sword and die for a crown were at that very moment on the far side of the city, bent over a chessboard, having a furious argument about a bishop.
You have to understand the city first. Lucknow, under its last king, Wajid Ali Shah, was the most exquisite place in all of India, and very nearly the most useless. It was a city drunk on pleasure. The king himself was a poet, a dancer, a maker of songs, a man who could fill a courtyard with music and verse, and could not, as it turned out, fill a single rampart with soldiers. And from the palace down to the poorest lane, everyone was absorbed in something delicious and exquisite and entirely unimportant. Poetry, perfume, kite strings, fighting quails, the precise folding of a turban, and above all of it, chess. Among the noblemen of the city were two friends, Mirza Sajjad Ali and Mir Roshan Ali. Both wealthy, both idle, both blessed with inherited estates that more or less ran themselves, or rather, ran quietly down while their owners paid them no attention at all. What the two of them had instead of attention was chess. They played from the moment they woke. They played through breakfast and through the heat of the afternoon and on past dark by lamplight. They played as though the fate of nations turned on every move, which for them, it did. The fate of their actual nation did not interest them in the slightest. Everything else fell away. The servants robbed them blind. They did not notice. The estates crumbled. They did not notice. And their wives, their poor neglected begums sitting alone, room after empty room, day after day, while the men hunched over that board, their wives noticed everything, and grew by the week more quietly furious. Mirza's wife took to sending word that she was unwell, gravely ill, dying even, anything at all to draw him from the game. He would send back his deepest sympathy and his apologies, and his sincere regret that it was, just at that moment, a very delicate position on the board. At last, the women rebelled. One morning the chessmen simply vanished, hidden or thrown down a well, no one ever said. There were bitter words, tears and accusations, and doors slammed hard enough to shake the lamps. And the two friends, wounded and genuinely bewildered that anyone could be so unreasonable about a game, did the only thing such men have ever done. They retreated. They found a spare set, and they went looking for somewhere, anywhere, they might play in peace. They found it on the very edge of the city, an old mosque, half fallen, abandoned, out past the last of the houses, down near the river. Cool, quiet, empty. No wives, no servants, no complaints. Only the two of them and the board, and the long, golden, undisturbed afternoons. It was, they agreed, the most perfect arrangement they had ever known. And it was there, in that ruin, on the edge of a dying kingdom, that the two of them happened to be sitting. On the afternoon the kingdom died. They heard it before they saw it. A sound on the road. Boots, hundreds of them, in step.
And then the column came into view. Soldiers, red-coated, foreign, marching toward Lucknow through the heat, raising a long, slow banner of dust behind them. The British had come for Oudh, and in the city behind them, it was already finished. The king, Wajid Ali Shah, poet, dancer, the last free ruler of his line, was at that hour being led out of his own palace, deposed, to be carried off into exile. No one raised a hand, no one drew a blade. A kingdom of millions changed owners as quietly as a house changes tenants. Mir looked up at the passing soldiers for a moment. Then he looked back down at the board. "It's your move," he said. And Mirza moved. They played on as the light went from gold to amber, and from amber to red. And somewhere in those last games, over a careless move, a piece taken, a low word about a cheat, something turned. These were noblemen after all, men of honor. Men who had let everything else slip through their fingers and had nothing left to be proud of now but their pride. Hot words, a flat denial, an insult that could not, once spoken, be taken back. And then, out there in the empty ruin with no one to see them and no one to stop them, both men were on their feet. And both men had drawn their swords. There was a clash of steel, and another. And when it was done, the two of them lay on the cold stone floor of the mosque, bleeding into the dust. And there, slowly and in great pain, beside the overturned board, both of them died. The kingdom of Oudh had changed hands that day without one drop of blood. The king had gone quietly. The soldiers had not fired a shot. The millions had not stirred. The only blood spilled in all of Lucknow that day was spilled here, in a ruined mosque by the river, by two men who would not cross a road to save their king, and ran each other through to save their queens. The little kings of ivory still stood in their squares where they had been left, and the two men who had died for them lay still in the dust and did not move again.